I'm joined today by what I would consider some icons of Christian music, the Smallbone brothers, otherwise known as Joel and Luke for King and Country. Welcome, guys. How are you doing?
G'day, Sammy. Nice to see you. You know, it's very rare that we get to do interviews where we have such history and such rapport with the interviewer.
Well, thank you for saying that. I feel the same way. I mean, we go back quite a ways. And so I want to get to your music, but I also want to just chat a little bit, if that's okay, because one of the things I appreciate about you both, even though I introduced you of icons of Christian music, is that you all are so real. And I think we've talked about in private just how the moniker even of Christian music really wasn't even a thing until fairly recently, as we consider the dawning of music. Can you just talk a little bit about why do you think there is even such a blending of faith and music? How do you feel about that whole label?
I think that music is truly inherently spiritual, all right? Because you go back from the beginning of time, you even go back into Lucifer in heaven, right? There's this power that takes place in music, which makes it dangerous, right? I also think that music, I've seen I think in our career, the power of music that can change someone's life. It can change somebody's day. It can be the thing that spurs them on in that run. It can be the thing that encourages them to get through that work day. Music is a wonderfully powerful thing. And I think because of that, you also have to be careful with it. And it's, you know, in our world, you know, we write music that is real to us. You know, we write music that, we'll be talking about the love that we have for our families and our wives. We'll be talking about our love for God, but we'll be talking about, you know, kind of global issues that we all might be facing. And I think that, you know, music is you know, it's a part of what we do. It's also not who we are, you know. And so I think you got to be careful in any work environment to not become the thing that you may do. And so hopefully that creates a little bit of separation in intent of hopefully it does become real to us. And when we do come and do shows, we get to kind of show people what we've been up to, and hopefully that music becomes real to others as well.
Yeah, you've used the word real a couple of times, and I appreciate that because you are obviously brothers. You have a larger family of more siblings. Can you just speak a little bit about relationship and how you're able to navigate to keep things real? Because we're not going to pretend that every day is a great day. We can choose, as I say, we can choose to make it a great day, but you're navigating family relationships, band relationships, and then allowing that to permeate your music, because I hear it so really in your music, but then you're also encouraging others. So how do you all navigate that on a daily basis?
That's a timely question, Sammy. I mean, the First Bank Amphitheater show is actually the culmination. It'll be the 32nd show, the final show of this tour. And touring this aggressively does wear you down to kind of your bare bones. And so we're kind of in the middle of facing it now, and you have to stay in the tension. I think that's the biggest thing about it, band life, family life, brotherhood, you know, with your spouse. You have to stay in the tension. You can't deal in absolutes. That's a sort of a dangerous thing. And I think similarly to Luke's comment about music, family's really powerful. You know, family can raise you up or it can tear you down. And we're so fortunate to have built so much trust, he and I, over the last 15 years. It's been hard fought for since we were, you know, he was a late teenager and we started this working towards what became For King and Country. But it's a powerful thing that can be either, you know, you can have oasis moments where it's just the thing explodes, or it can really synergize you and ground you. And fortunately for us, that's what it's been between us and really the whole family. But man, we got to keep putting it, you got to keep staying in the tension. And we're doing that actively right now.
Yeah. Can I push you, since I know you all, and ask what some of those practices look like? Because you're both married. It's a beautiful relationship, but it's not always easy. I feel you guys coming to the altar of Jesus in some of these songs, and that doesn't come about superficially. So what do you do for the person that's watching, for the person that's listening and says, I am so broken. Like, I want to love. I want to believe. I don't know if I have it in me. What do you do to put that into practice, if you don't mind sharing?
Well, I think in relationships, probably, you know, you talk about marriages between my wife, Courtney, and I, and obviously then in this relationship being brothers, I think that you're going to hurt each other. That's a guarantee. If you're going to be close to someone, you're going to hurt someone, right? It's just the way it is. But I think there's been a time, I think that there's probably a falsehood out there that if you hurt someone, then that means that the relationship has actually been damaged. And I actually think most of the time when you hurt someone, you have a choice. You have a choice to either forgive, and actually that disagreement or that hurt can become something that unifies you. I find it very ironic that for my wife and I, when we have a disagreement over something and then we resolve it, I feel so close to my wife when we resolve but it didn't come from just maybe the previous hour or two perfect harmony. It actually came through a little bit of friction. And I think even for Joel and I, it's similar. I mean, we've been working together for over 15 years now. We've had our fair share of disagreements, but ironically enough, when you work through them, that's when the oasis actually takes place. That's when you're actually in a peaceful moment. And I think for the person that's broken, and obviously in this case, I'm probably talking more relationship wise, you got to check your pride at the door a little bit. You got to admit it takes two to tango always, right? Even if you own 2% of the street, you still got to own that 2%. And I think that in this case, it does come to hey, being willing to forgive, being willing to say that you're wrong. And you'll be amazed at what takes place in almost any relationship, work environment, when you say, hey, I made a mistake here, how that opens up a door for a greater community and a greater relationship.
Yeah. And when you do fight, I think the other key thing is you can't fight dirty. You know, you can't. When you start leaning into like, you always do this or you never do that, or character sabotage, that actually does create distrust. And that's something I think we've done, I think, pretty well between us and our wives, is we don't get to a place where we start tearing down the person. You really got to check yourself at that point.
Well, you're ministering to me. I know you're ministering to everyone else. Speaking of ministering in music, what is up next for you guys? You say you're ending, the tour. How can people listen to you? Any new music on the horizon? What's next for King and Country?
We've got a couple of new songs in the work, a couple of fun features in the works that we're excited to share more about. We're wrapping this tour. We do the fairs and the festivals and all of that in the summer, which should be nice because we sort of, everyone had the whole world had a 2-year hiatus from it. I think the other thing that we're really excited about is we're stepping back into the film world again. We've got 2 or 3 projects that we're developing, and one which tells, sort of, speaking of parents and family, is sort of an autobiographical pick that tells our parents' sort of epic migration from Australia to America, called Unsung Hero, which is related to one of our songs, told from our mum's perspective. And right now I'm slated to play Dad, which I know Otto would get a real kick out of. So anyway, some good stuff. We're looking to go in production with that this fall, but there's a lot on the horizon. And
she has a book out too, isn't that right?
She does, Behind the Lights. So it's sort of pulling a little bit from that as well,
Well, we've got to wrap up, but because we have this relationship, is there something that you wish you got asked that you don't get asked in such scenarios like these?
I don't think it's necessarily that we wish we get asked. I think that's actually the exciting part of interviews is you never know what you're going to get asked.
I know. I have one, Luke. I have one.
What is it?
Sammy, I wish you asked who was the A&R guy that actually took you to their label CEO and said, you've got to sign this band, and is really in many ways massively responsible for King and Country's existence. And I would say that is one Otto Price, actually the husband of Sami. And so we're really grateful to your man for all his belief when no one else did.
He's a good one, and he believed rightly. And I just want to commend you all for stewarding your gifts. You serve humbly, but boldly. And you're the beautiful example of how you can be confident in your gifts and still humble in them and your relationships. And just knowing you as well as I know you both, I just want to thank you for that. Cheers to your lovely wives. Thank you for taking the time to join me today. We're going to put the website down below so that everyone can find out more about how they can see and listen to For King and Country. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me on the Sami Cone Show today.
Thanks, Sami. Appreciate it.
See you soon.